Yep.
Love that. All right, let's switch gears a little bit and talk
Mm-hmm.
about the production and
Yes.
sound of the
Mm-hmm.
track. So just for the people who have been like fans for a really, really long time, I would definitely say that there were some surprises listening to
Okay.
this newer one. Some really good surprises. There's a lot of rich layers, and I really can't wait for people to hear this. But can you walk us through your approach in blending, just like the different genres and the different sounds in the tracks and the final product of what you've
Yeah.
created?
Yep. So when I approached the project, well, first of all, it's not a project that I've created in the way that I've created other
Right.
projects. And that's just because of the circumstances of life. Like one of the records on there, which I think is one of the strongest records I made 2, 3 years ago, guess.
Yeah,
Right? And
it's one of my favorites.
and Do Me, right? Was made
Yeah.
in 2020.
Yeah.
So it's like there are songs on here that are older, but I felt like they didn't get the run they needed, or they weren't heard enough, so nobody would even know that they were out at one point. But then there are some that I just held and waited for, like Guess. But I knew approaching this project, I wanted Lion to have this dark, twisted fantasy type of experience. So actually, the project was supposed to be a lot darker than what it ended up being, but that's just the nature of me not doing it all in one sitting. And me and FC actually talked about that.
Gotcha.
He said next time, let's really try to do the project within a 3 to 6 month period, so you can be in the same place. But like I had a second kid throughout this. Actually, I had both my kids at different points. If you listen to like Do Me versus Guess
Yeah.
versus Astronomy, like
Yeah.
and then the last track, Imperfect, I had my whole family at that point. But if you go back to the first one that I made, I didn't have any kids. And so there's like this progression of life and all kind of different things that happen. So the sound naturally progressed and changed. I think I got better as a lyricist and a writer in between that time as well. If you have a really keen ear, you probably can hear it. Where there's this change and this growth. So I think that sonically, I originally wanted it to be very dark, twisted, fantasy esque, but not to copy Kanye, but to have that vibe where it feels very, almost like J. Cole's first album too. But I think there's aspects of that. So Astronomy was going to be the catalyst for what the whole project sounded like. But
Okay.
yes, so I wanted it to have
Yeah.
more of a rock, hip hop feel. A
Yeah.
lot of guitars with Rhodes piano.
Yeah.
Right? And the next one may very well encompass that, but we just didn't accomplish it in this way. But I think that's what God wanted. It came out the way it was supposed to come out sonically.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of blending of genres, but I really also felt like I wanted to stay true to a few things sonically. One, with all my tracks, you'll always probably hear a piano, and more specifically, the Rhodes piano. Even if it's distorted in some way, you usually hear it in there because that's probably my favorite instrument to hear on music. I feel like my voice blends well with it.
Yeah.
I love putting guitars in music when I get the opportunity, and then soulful sounds, like soulful samples with 808s. So if I get those four things, typically you got a CW Island sound.
Yeah. Did
Yeah.
you hear those sounds frequently in your childhood, or like when did you realize like this is something that I really want to incorporate into my sound?
Yeah, I listened to a lot of R&B growing
Okay.
up. So if I in another life I'm a R&B singer somewhere with this shirt halfway button,
I mean, you can do
playing
it
a
today,
piano
but
like John Legend somewhere,
Oh, God.
or ushering.
I was just about to ask you who were your influences, but I see the picture. I see the
So
picture.
you know what? And I think sonically, I really always loved. Probably in my early 20s is when I really got hip to Kanye. But he's probably one of my favorite artists.
Still?
Yeah, musically, I haven't listened to the new album. I will say that. But I think Kanye got some of my favorite works, like Graduation and Dark
Graduation.
Twisted Fantasy are my two favorite albums.
Yeah.
Then you get to like Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Love that album. Lecrae's All Things Work Together was a great album to me. I loved a lot of his work over the years. But I was a kid who listened to everything. I was all over the place And I know some people say that because it's trendy, but no, I literally musically am all over the place.
Yeah, you can. I mean, you can tell it's not in a way of like it doesn't make sense or it's not a good thing. Like no, it shows your true love of music.
Yes.
And I feel like a lot of people who say that they really love music don't really love music because they don't have this broad knowledge.
That's right. But the challenge is, how do I do it in a way that is authentic to my sound and that doesn't it doesn't sound so all over the place that the listeners are like, this is a hodgepodge of music, like I can't keep up. Some listeners love that. I'm a listener who I enjoy when you can do that, but you can do it in a way where it still sounds like one cohesive project.
Yeah.
Right? Like I don't, sometimes it's so all over the place. I'm like, who are you? Like, are you just mimicking a lot of different people? Right? And I think that's what some of my favorite artists have done well. They've